welcome to, I actually don't even know what episode we're on, and this is legitimate. Are we on 46? Okay, I got confused because we did the two-part last time. Welcome to episode 46 of Paperwork Podcast with Chip Boys, Rest Pass, Peach, and Walt. Peach, how you doing today, bud? Nah, he's not here. I realized we didn't even text him to tell him.
We didn't.
Nah, I just...
Anytime we do it, like, on an irregular day, we just...
Listen, all of our schedules are wonky. So, like, even for me today, it's got, like, I even said, it was like, we got to do this fast, because I got to leave to go to work. You're just getting in from work.
Yes.
So, it's fun. This is the post-Royal Rumble episode of the podcast. Big shout-out. Thanks again to Roy for joining us last week, 2 weeks ago, when we released those episodes. Keep an eye out on Opie and Friends' YouTube channel, because I think I saw him post like a teaser or something about they have a new video coming out soon about somebody that murdered people or something like that.
Yeah, I have to admit, I actually just watched that, the one he was talking about during the recording, the who killed... I can't remember the name.
I know who you're talking about. I forget who it is, too.
But, sorry, Roy. I know this is a great plug for your show. But now, it was actually done way better than I expected it to be. Now, I haven't watched the progress lead up to it, you know? I've watched Jer's old videos, but wow, like, I was shocked at how well it was done.
I love the production quality. And I was talking, when Roy was there, because he just got a new drone that he's going to start using more and more. Right. So I'm excited to see that. But no, thank you to them. We had fun during it. I realized during it, and we didn't even set it up, we should have used our numbers that we researched during the Rumble for the Rumble picks as like our Rumble picks during the Rumble, just as people to cheer on.
We were supposed to.
Yeah, but oh well. So now that the Rumble's over, the road to WrestleMania officially begins, and I just said, since a different day recording.
Barbara Jean Horn. I'm sorry. Barbara Jean Horn.
Oh, you just looked it up?
Barbara Jean Horn.
Okay.
It's worth watching on the Opie and Friends YouTube show. Okay, go ahead, Walt.
But I figured it is January 30th that we're recording this. Let's, you and I, figure out what we think the road to WrestleMania is going to be. What we think what the card's going to look like for WrestleMania from now until... Yeah, I guess at WrestleMania. And we can maybe discuss NXT a little bit too.
Yeah, I figure it fell right on WrestleMania and maybe not NXT as much, purely because I don't know when this episode's going to be dropped. I'm assuming possibly Thursday, but we're recording Wednesday morning.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get it done tonight, but
so NXT hasn't. Oh, you know what? It wouldn't even be an NXT taping tonight anyway, right? It's probably whatever's pre-recorded at the Rumble.
Yeah, no taping.
So I mean, they might have had some extra stuff, but NXT, we're like completely clueless other than what they're doing at the Super Bowl, as far as what their next steps are.
Which I wish we could have gotten this recorded Monday morning, because so much happened on Raw and SmackDown to help, and even WWE officially announced that really changes the landscape of what WrestleMania is going to be.
Yeah.
So let's get the obvious ones first. Seth versus Lesnar, Rollins versus Lesnar. Basically, they announced it officially. Any change there? Do you think that's going to be the match?
I do think there is a small possibility of Dean Ambrose being at it. As of now, they had WWE announcing that he's leaving at the end of his contract, which is very reminiscent of CM Punk. It's almost...
They did not do that at all with Punk.
No, when Punk came out and talked about his contract, and then they made it into a storyline.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if his contract's done then. I'm assuming it is, but I'm assuming they're making it out of a storyline. I would not doubt that he's unhappy, but that whole thing with Nia Jax and stuff, it just seems super staged. And as we see with the Punk thing, whether it's staged or not, if there's some type of realism and they let Ambrose kind of air his grievances he may have, it could be done well. I'm assuming it's either going to be him and Triple H or somehow they're going to use this to leverage him into this match. But we'll see. I think that's the only minor change you might see to this match is Ambrose somehow in this storyline making his way in.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Seth versus Lesnar. I think Monday night was the last time we've seen Rollins. Or not Rollins, Ambrose.
Really?
I was thinking that they were starting to edge towards the Triple H match for Mania. But I still think like if Triple H can wrestle, it's going to be Batista.
Yeah.
But I think because of this whole contract thing, I think it's legitimate.
I just don't. I don't, and maybe wrestling has made me this way, but I just don't. I think it's Vince and Triple H being very smart, because this is only going to get people talking, and I don't care if they're talking about AEW, it's going to get people talking, and regardless, and no press is bad press, and it's associating WWE in that, and a wrestler from WWE in that. When will he go to AEW? Because that's all this is. That's all that is. That is put out there purposely to get Dean Ambrose's name out there, to get people excited to see him leave.
Yeah.
And again, maybe wrestling has just made me jaded to the point that I assume most things are a work. I did not assume the Roman Reigns thing was, but I assume most things are. And I've never seen WWE come out and say, like, what was the point of that? What was the point of it? Other than it being storyline based, there was no point.
I think it's just because, like I said, I think they came out with it because I think he's done on TV. I think he's basically sitting out the rest of his contract. And
I don't see it. I don't see it. And the funny thing is if this is a work, they could let him sit out for weeks. But if it is a work, it's going to be like when John Cena was fired, and he'll be back next week, maybe a week later. It's the same thing as Kevin Owens, all the stupid storylines they do. He'll be back way too quick, and they need to keep him out. If this is a work, they need to keep him out until at least Elimination Chamber. So then we should not hear or see him until at least Elimination Chamber.
So, all right. So, what do you think is going to happen with Ambrose? Let's say he doesn't get the. Like, you're kind of on the edge of him doing the Lesnar-Rollins match, turning that into a triple threat. Where do you think Ambrose ends up at WrestleMania then?
I think it's supposed to be him and Triple H, and if Triple H isn't healthy, I think you may see him slide into this match.
Okay.
That's what I think they're almost kind of giving it. And who the hell knows? Maybe that whole stupid-ass thing with Nia Jax was supposed to be some type of foreshadowing.
Setting up their first intergender match?
Yeah.
Listen, you know how I felt during the Rumble with the Nia Jax situation.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with this if they do something. I don't know. Like, whatever. But so Rollins, Lesnar, I think that's going to take place. I think Rollins wins. I think this is where you finally get the belt off of Lesnar. Ambrose, since we were talking about him, they kind of laid the seeds for a Triple H match, but I don't know. Because really then, like, I don't think Triple H is going to be the good guy in that situation, because that's not who Triple H plays when he usually wrestles at Mania. But
yeah, but that's exactly, see, and that's where I'm kind of, I guess, coming off of the CM Punk thing a little bit. CM Punk in the him and Cena match, and I'm using that as the reference for this. I know it wasn't WrestleMania, but I'm going to use the Money in the Bank. Side
note, just you're mentioning Punk, and I want to bring this up. Yesterday, Punk tweeted at Bryce Harper saying that Bryce Harper knows that Wah is better than Sheets, and I appreciate that. Because listen, I am on Harper Watch 24/7 now. I have 3 different Twitter feeds up of Ken Rosenthal, Bryce Harper, the trending hashtag, and who the hell else did I have up? I had a third one up. Oh, MLB The Show, because the show's going to release something with Harper. So I'm on Harper Watch, but Punk supports Harper in Philly.
You have until March. Don't worry. They'll draw this shit out. But John Cena wasn't the bad guy in that whole Cena Punk thing.
No, but you don't have Yeah, but you don't have a
the crowd turned on Cena, and the crowd always turns on Cena. I get that part, but this whole thing, you don't need to. Ambrose doesn't need to be a bad guy or a good guy in this. If you play up the whole boss against employee, disgruntled employee thing, the fans are going to get behind Ambrose. Yeah, absolutely.
If they do that, yeah. But then it kind of just goes back against everything they just kind of set up with him, to where Ambrose is this heel, but now he's going more to that like tweener, getting cheered state. Here's a question. Here's a question. Let's say Triple H Ambrose happens. Does Ambrose get cheered at Mania because he's leaving?
That's if he's leaving.
So let's say he's actually leaving. That's a legitimate.
Okay, let's say he's legitimately leaving, and they're using it as a storyline. Is what you're saying? They're using it as a storyline. They're going to have this match at WrestleMania.
Does Ambrose get cheered?
He's leaving. Yes.
Okay. So you don't think it's similar to Goldberg Lesnar of WrestleMania 20?
Not if he plays up the whole "I'm leaving because I'm being misused." Goldberg and Lesnar were not leaving for those reasons. Lesnar was not feeling like he was being mistreated, and that's why he was leaving. You know, again, it's the whole CM Punk thing. Did we know for sure that he was not leaving?
When he won the WWE...
And I know it was in Chicago.
Yeah.
I know it was in Chicago. I realized that. He was going to get cheered anyway. I completely understand that. But he would have gotten cheered just about anywhere. Maybe not to the same extent, but he would have got cheered just about anywhere. And people thought he might legitimately leave. You know? I mean, he even says himself that he was leaving up until that day, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that when he said he officially signed the contract? In his mind, he thought he was still leaving.
Yeah, I can see Ambrose getting cheered. Like, I could think, like...
They need to use that storyline. That's the biggest thing. It needs to come out where he's saying, all right, this is like Roman Reigns. Come out and use his real name. I don't even care. You know, come out and just start saying, like, look, this is not this. They've been misusing me for a while. You know, I'm coming here because I have to play out my contract or whatever, but I'm not going to be happy about it. Blah, 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 blah. You know, come out and maybe even, not even like, almost in the weirdest way possible, like the Austin Aries situation where he kind of no-sells a little bit in a match and walks out, and then Triple H just finally had enough of it and came out, and he's like, no, this isn't, you know. Yeah, and it could start that there, where the fans understand that he's being a dick, but for legitimate reasons, you know? And I think you kind of...
That makes the most sense then, yeah. Like, as much as I wanted to see the Triple H Batista match, an Ambrose Triple H match kind of makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
With this storyline. Yeah, but I'm just, like... If we see Ambrose... Yeah, I don't know.
And again, it's solely on the fact that he might not be 100% sold he's leaving. Like, he thinks he's leaving, and WWE wants to do whatever they can to keep him. That they try to make a storyline out of it.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't want to keep him. But I think this is playing off the whole AEW thing, to be honest with you.
A lot of the stuff WWE's doing is off of AEW.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's keep it on Raw. And let's go to the other obvious match. Well, the other match that's already officially announced. Becky versus Ronda. My two questions with this one. Does Charlotte get at it? And does it main event WrestleMania?
No and yes. I've just recently flip-flopped back to it being a Becky Rousey main event. And not to give away too much, but that's because I feel like Charlotte's going to be competing for another title. I think you're going to get a rematch from last year. I think you're going to get Asuka Charlotte. I believe you'll probably see Becky Charlotte at Elimination Chamber.
I agree. I think
that it probably would be like Charlotte's going to get Becky's spot if she wins, or Charlotte gets added to the match if she wins, and then Becky wins, because Becky needs... I know she doesn't need it, but she needs momentum leading into it.
Yeah, that was my one issue with their match at the Rumble, was I did not like that Becky tapped out. Like I think that just
they needed her to pass out.
Yeah, they needed something. Even a pin, even getting pinned is fine. I think just the tap out, it helped. I don't think it helped Asuka as much as it might have hurt Becky. But I don't think it hurt Becky at all in most eyes. So that was my only annoyance. But I think I'm in the same boat as you. I think it's going to be 1-on-1 now. I think they would have had both Becky and Charlotte win the Rumble if Charlotte was going to get at it. And yes, I think this is the one that main events WrestleMania. And as much as last year I was saying I wanted Charlotte, Ronda to do it, and I think they had the storyline that they could have moved up to it.
Right.
The Becky, just how hot she is, WWE's doing the right move by moving her into that spot and giving it to her. And the crowd last night and the last 2 nights were amazing for Becky. And I think that's just good. And I think it's just going to continue going forward and forward and forward. And WWE's doing the right thing. And it is great.
You have to strike while the iron's hot too,
which WWE normally doesn't do.
No, they don't. And that's the surprising thing. It's almost like Daniel Bryan, the year where the crowd almost forced their hand, but I think WWE beat them to the punch. I think it happened so early. You know, it's been going on now for just long enough that it forced their hand to give you that Rousey-Charlotte match, which now that Charlotte-Rousey match might not have as big of a feel at WrestleMania as the Becky-Rousey because they've never fought. But you're striking right now with somebody who's this thing. I don't even know what to say. I watched Raw. I didn't get to watch all of SmackDown last night. I did get to watch Raw. I watched Becky's thing with Charlotte on SmackDown, and dude, watching Rousey and Becky Lynch. Like, I feel like I'm a little kid watching wrestling again. Like, watching that... First of all, watching that crowd get on Rousey was hilarious. Her inner fan had to love that. You know what I mean? Like, I could imagine being out there and stumbling over my words and being like, this is the greatest feeling in the world. They're booing me. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I just feel like as a fan, in her inside, she had been loving that. But to watch her finally get... like some aggression, some little bit of a heel at the end of what she said, where she was like, you know, I've been a name for 10 years and anywhere I step in, it's my house kind of thing. Like, I hope that turn happens. And I'm not to get too ahead of myself, but I'm hoping it happens on Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. I'm hoping you get to see the rest of the 4 horsewomen and we start leading towards that.
Well, they've been teasing that.
Yeah.
I
wanted to see Bayley throw her 4 fingers up.
She did.
Did she?
Yeah, it was not on WWE. Didn't catch it on or it wasn't on TV. But then WWE apparently re-released a video of Becky throwing up the 4 and Bayley responding with the 4. So you're
okay there. But I meant after they shook hands. Because that's what they did with Sasha. Sasha kind of like shook hands with her and then put the 4 up in her face and walked away. So that's what I want to happen. After they shook hands, I wanted Bayley to put the 4 up and start to walk away, and then Becky Lynch's music to play.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get to that, which is good.
Yeah, I need. This is the perfect time to turn Rousey, and you don't have to completely turn her.
Just align her with Baszler.
Yeah, you align her with the heels.
This is lining up perfectly for Yasmin Duke, what's her?
Marina
Shafir and Baszler to come up on the Raw after Mania.
Yeah.
This is lining up perfectly for that.
And Shayna is good enough to be their mouthpiece. She's gotten better on the mic. So Ronda still struggles. She's always struggled. She struggled in UFC.
Yeah.
But if you get that whole "I'm bigger than you, I'm bigger than wrestling," which is what I felt like was coming out of her mouth when she was saying that. That's going to be amazing.
This is a dumb question. And did the Horsemen have a mouthpiece?
JJ Dillon, I think.
That's what I was going to say. Dillon.
And then when they rebooted Arn Anderson, I think after he retired, not to say he was.
I was going to say, is it worth it to bring in a mouthpiece then for them?
I mean, the obvious choice is
Paul
the choice
Heyman.
Everybody's been begging for is Heyman.
So, all right.
I mean, I don't know.
So let's
yeah, I don't know. I think Shayna might be enough.
I think that'll probably be good. So let's just keep moving. Let's keep going down Raw's line. Okay. Intercontinental Championship. Where do you think that's heading?
Well, I mean, the obvious choice after Monday would be Finn. If last year told us anything, and I did not do a whole lot of research into this when we talked about doing it, but I did. There was 14 matches last year.
Yes.
Right? There will now be 9 titles, I believe, after the women's tag team gets added. Am I counting that wrong?
I think that sounds about right.
Maybe even 10, but with the cruiserweight. But you got all those title matches, which every single one of those title matches, happened at WrestleMania. Then you have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, the Women's Battle Royal, and then I think I can't, if I count it, if they do 14 again, there's 2 other matches, so it must be 10 titles now with the women's tag team. But they had multi-man matches for the Intercontinental US, and I assume they're going to go that same route. So I if I had to guess, you're probably going to get Lashley, Baylor, don't know.
I think
I don't.
So
maybe Baron Corbin, and then somebody else.
I think for the IC belt, I think it's going to be. I see. This is why I don't know. Like the Baylor Lashley feud is starting a little too early.
Right.
To I think to run until WrestleMania.
But that's what if you sprinkle in who they've had problems with, and Baylor's had problems with Corbin.
Yeah.
I think if you mix it in a little bit, I tend to agree with you, but do you really see Baylor in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal?
No. Baylor's going to have a match. That's
what I'm saying. Unless you do Demon against Taker, I don't know that there's another match out there. I mean, I was trying to think of the other matches. Let's say Taker has a match and Triple H has a match. Now all the matches are full.
I don't think Taker's having a match this year.
And maybe he doesn't. But then I would also tend to think that maybe you have Strowman against McIntyre.
Well, what about Cena? Don't forget about Cena.
Yeah. Well,
the rumored Cena match has always Cena versus oh god, why can't I think of his name? Lars Sullivan.
Okay.
But Lars Sullivan apparently has had panic attacks or something like that backstage, and that's why they delayed his debut. So that's kind of up in the air, just because I think they were trying to look to build him for much longer for the Cena feud.
But that's where all this, it confuses me looking at everything, because now I'm like, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is either going to have the biggest names they've had in it, or some of the titles aren't going to be defended.
I think all your titles are going to be defended.
Exactly.
Because
they're not going to put more you can't put more matches on the 14.
It's WWE, they could. So here's what I'll say with the IC belt. I do think it's going to be I don't know, this is where I wish I didn't watch Raw, or we recorded this beforehand, because I'm going in now thinking, okay, it's going to be Lesnar or Lashley versus Baylor.
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep that a one-on-one match, because I think your multi-man title match is going to be for the U.S. title, just based off of what happened last night on SmackDown.
Well, but last year they had 2 multi-man. They had the what was it? The Intercontinental was the ladder match,
and then a fatal 4-way for the.
And then they had a fatal 4-way for the U.S. That's why I said I expect 2 multi-man mid-card matches. And probably a multi-tag team match. You need to. There's too many guys. And the Cruiserweight will probably be multi-man too.
Cruiserweight's going to be multi-man on the pre-show. That's as shitty, that's what it's going to be.
And then both the Battle Royals
will be on the pre-show as well.
Are you going to put a Finn Balor in there? You're going to put Braun Strowman in there? You're going to put McIntyre in there? You know what I mean? Like, there are certain guys that are you going to put them in these Battle Royals? So now you have to find a place for them. And the only place that makes sense, who knows, maybe Lashley don't have the title by then. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to build him, and
because that's the thing too. Lashley, I think, needs to win. Like, I don't think Balor. Like, I want Balor to get the title because he needs a title at this point.
I mean, do you have Balor win the Memorial Battle Royal and at least have him win something?
Nah, I was more thinking Strowman maybe.
You think he's more likely? See, and I think he's more likely to have a singles match on the card that means nothing than Balor would. Like a non-title match.
Yeah. Strowman McIntyre makes sense, but I don't think that's good. That's not going to be for WrestleMania. Just because there's not enough there for the WrestleMania card.
And that's my thing. Is I'm thinking that match.
I think
big enough, but it needs a title around it.
I think IC title is going to be singles match Baylor versus Lashley. Somehow
I don't know who's in it, but it'll be a multi-man.
Lashley versus Baylor is going to happen at Elimination Chamber. Lilo Rush is going to somehow get involved, and Baylor's going to get a rematch. And with the rematch, that Baylor's going to win the IC title, I think, at Mania. Just because I don't think they can have him lose again, especially with how they're pushing him.
Yeah.
Especially like with the Lesnar match. Tag team titles. We're all tag team titles.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's like
unfortunately that's my feelings on the tag team.
If that's a match that's not. That's a match that's probably not going to be on the card.
Hell, I'll keep my fingers crossed and say Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are some way, shape, or form in a title match at WrestleMania.
This would be the match they would be in. I think the ideal situation to happen is the Revival beat Chad Gable and Bobby Roode.
Yes.
And then you have a legitimate tag team, and then a returning Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn if they returned before Mania.
Yeah, but and to be honest, this might end up being the multi-man tag match if they have one, where you end up having like a Roode and Gable, Revival, AOP, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
just a way to kind of get guys in there.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. But yeah, this if anything is the match that's going to not be on the card. The Cruiserweight match. Do you have any real opinions on that? We saw that apparently. Did you see this morning about it, Tommy?
No.
He was asked and granted his release.
Oh, really?
So,
so much for both of our predictions of
exactly
the title.
So, that's kind of out of it, and I don't know enough about the Cruiserweight division. The only thing, and this is where I could possibly see, and I don't know if he's going to go straight there, is this is how, so Kushida's coming to WWE. Yeah. Have him win the title here, but I think he's going to NXT.
I'm sticking with my prediction of who's going to end up on 205 Live, and I don't care what you say, Walt. I'm sticking with it.
Who?
And it's the perfect time to put him there. And he don't need to win the title in NXT to move out of NXT. But I will, for argument's sake, just because we have no information right now.
Are you talking about Adam Cole?
Nope. I'll say Ricochet wins the title.
Oh. No, he's not. He's down in NXT for a while.
I know. You can see the way they're building them. They're slow building them. Cole will leave without ever winning the title before Ricochet does. Ricochet will be the champion down because you figure Gargano, Black, Ciampa probably as good as gone soon. in the relatively like the next 4, 5, 6 months.
Yeah.
You think those guys are gone, so you need somebody to kind of, and Matt Riddle that probably is not going to be that guy holding on to it for a while. So
I don't know if Riddle gets a title run.
Yeah. So I think Ricochet is who they'll base around down there. But for my selfish reasons, and because I want to start watching 205 Live, and Ricochet will make me watch 205 Live.
Yeah, I don't know what the
it'll be two of the same 4 or 5 guys we see every time at every pay-per-view.
Yeah, nothing. I don't think anything out of the real ordinary there.
Yeah.
Are there any other matches from the Raw side that you think are going to happen for Mania?
I think Triple H Ambrose was the one that I said.
I
think if Triple H is capable, and if Ambrose is at least willing to work out the rest of his deal, if he really is leaving, I think that would be perfect for them to do. Whether or not they will, I'm sure they'll try.
Yeah,
I think it would be perfect to kind of play off the CM Punk type of storyline, kind of.
Yeah. The women's, I mean, you're going to have the women's tag team championship match there, and that's going to be on the main card just because of it's the new belts. I think,
and I would love to, doubt it would happen, love to see this be Duke and Shafir against the
Bayley and Sasha.
Yeah.
I think Bayley and Sasha are going to win the tag team titles.
Almost come out and do an open challenge and again, that's something that might be more likely for the Raw afterwards, because I don't see Shafir and Duke spending too much time down in NXT. I think they will take the fact that they're greener in the ring, knowing that they have Rousey and Baszler. How Braun
Strowman came up with the Wyatt family, how he was very green, but he was just big force and kind of learned on the fly.
And it's no offense to them two, but
nah.
I was gonna say not just them, but Morgan and Logan, they're kind of just behind Ruby Riott. You know, they could have benefited from a little bit of extra time in NXT.
I like that team. I like the Riott Squad.
I do like the team, but I'm saying they could have benefited from it. And maybe that's where Shafir and Duke kind of come up, and they're just kind of the backups to Baszler and Rousey.
I think you're going to get a fatal 4-way match for the tag team titles. 2 teams from Raw, 2 teams from SmackDown. One team I think is going to be Sasha and Bayley because they'll be the champions. I think
now think right after doing a 6-team match at Elimination Chamber, they'll have a 4-team.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because they have so many more women now. They can put 8 women in this match and then another 20 women in the Battle Royal. So yeah. I think your other teams are probably going to be from SmackDown, the Iconics, and then I think who else was I just thinking? Oh God, I can't think of who was on SmackDown. Probably Mandy and Sonya Deville.
Real quick.
And then hold on the Raw side, your other team I think is going to be probably
Tamina and Jax.
Yeah, probably.
Real quick though, just because this is technically a Road to WrestleMania episode, not necessarily WrestleMania prediction.
Yeah.
It's the prediction leading into it. Who do you see as the 6 teams in Elimination Chamber?
Well, you got 3 of them announced.
Yeah.
Riott Squad, Nia and Tamina, and and Mandy and Sonya.
Right.
You're going to have Bayley and Sasha are going to be the last team, I think.
And that'll be the 3 Raws. Yeah.
The Iconics.
Okay.
And then I don't know who the other team from SmackDown would be.
I think I had someone in my head, and now I hate the fact that I forgot it that quick.
I'm going to look at their roster real fast.
I think it's a pretty obvious one, too. that's rough that I can't remember now. No, maybe it's not obvious. No, I'm trying to think about it.
Yeah, I don't like based off of maybe they're calling someone up.
Do you team somebody with Carmella and just have them kind of?
Yeah, like you have Zelina. Well, the only ones not accounted for is Zelina, Naomi, Maurice, Lana, Carmella, and Asuka. So
yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
yeah.
Honestly,
outside
maybe,
of
you know who you might get, Io and Kyrie.
You know what? That's who I was thinking. I actually had that thought in my head, and that was literally the reason why I asked the question. But I had that thought in my head before, and I could. I just told you there was an obvious one. That's the obvious one that I'm thinking. I'm thinking you'll see Kyrie Sane and Shirai.
I apologize. You might get Nikki Cross in there somehow. Just like a Nikki Cross Carmella team up or something like that.
Yeah,
it's something weird. So. Alrighty. So let's go to the SmackDown side.
Okay.
WWE Championship. What do you think it's going to be? So we have announced that Elimination Chamber, the six men in the Elimination Chamber for the WWE Championship: Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, Mustafa Ali, and AJ Styles.
Yes.
At this point, I just see another AJ Styles Daniel Bryan match.
Unfortunately,
I don't know. Like, I don't see any other type of build up for a match for WrestleMania unless you do some sort of multi-man match or something like that.
Yeah, that's actually what I was just thinking. Especially if, let's say, if you go with a Lashley Baylor.
Because my biggest thing is I don't then have a match for AJ Styles.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not going to compete for the U.S. title.
No.
Yeah, I think you're kind of painted in a box where it's that, or yeah, I think it has to be that. I don't know who else you're not going to have Styles Joe again. Styles Undertaker doesn't make
here's
any
an assumption.
sense.
Does Daniel Bryan walk out of Elimination Chamber as the champion?
Yeah. He just changed the title.
Yeah.
I see him keeping it to WrestleMania.
To Mania, yeah. Daniel, the only one I see possibly getting added to the match, just because I think he needs the belt. He deserves the belt of Samoa Joe. His promo last night when he came out was
I missed that part of it, unfortunately.
He is so good. He like that title on him. It could be another Ring of Honor championship run for him and hold it for 600 days or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He could go either way. He could be a good like heelish champ, but then also be a good defending champ and actually not like get cheap pinfalls every time or something like that.
Maybe a triple threat.
I'm thinking that the closest I see
Joe, AJ, and Bryan.
That's the only other thing I possibly see happening.
Yeah, that looks. There's a lot of depth there with the whole Bryan, AJ, and then AJ and Joe, and you kind of get Joe almost wins the title by finally beating Styles, even though Bryan was the champion. You know what I mean? You can almost kind of. I could see that happening. Again, the fanboy in me would love to see Baylor jump over. I'd like to see Bryan Baylor. Or even for argument's sake, Bray Wyatt come back in his old school and kind of like trying to take Rowan back over.
Also, they changed his name to Rowan. They got rid of Eric Rowan. I hate that they changed Andrade Cien Almas to just Andrade.
It's funny though, because if you go back in time, we got mad when they made Cesaro just Cesaro. We got mad when they made Big E just Big E. And now Big E Langston sounds stupid as shit when I say it out loud. Antonio Cesaro sounds like a completely different person. So there are certain people where I'm like, it's benefited them. But Cien Almas, I'd rather them just call him Cien Almas. I'd rather them just call him Cien Almas than Andrade. Andrade is one of the worst things they did to anybody. I don't even care about Harper and Rowan because all they did was call them Harper and Rowan anyway.
But I like that there were first names associated with it.
Yeah.
So, but all right. Well, so that's what we think. So, U.S. title match.
This is where I think you get a lot of guys dumped in.
This is a ladder match.
I would love it. You put Mysterio and Almas in there with whoever the hell else.
I think Almas is walking out of WrestleMania as your champion.
Yeah, I think that would.
I think
you literally already have this set up.
You do.
It is. And the funny thing is Truth might not have the title heading into it. But I think you have Rusev in there, you have Nakamura in there, you have Cien Almas, and you have Mysterio. I think those ones are definites. Now you have what? Now that you got three heels.
Throw Jeff Hardy in there just because it's a ladder match.
Yeah, you have 3 heels, 1 face. So you put R-Truth and Jeff Hardy. Yeah, right there, that sets itself up.
Yeah. I think that's...
And have Cien Almas come out with the title. I think that would make sense.
Yeah, I think... And then, I like the way the build has been for Cien, just because it's been a kind of slow. It hasn't been great, but I'm glad that they didn't just shoot him straight up.
Yeah.
Because then I think it would have fell out very fast. So,
but you know what, though? I would love to see R-Truth make his way there accidentally. By accidentally winning matches, or roll-ups and stupid ways. And then have him, accidentally knock the title down or something like that. But then Cien Almas grab it.
I don't want to do
him
Cien
to backwards ass his way into everything. Ass backwards his way into everything.
Oh man.
And then I've always wondered about that. The guys who hold on to the title, I just want to see it fall one of these times. I know they'll get severely hurt, and I get that, but one of these times when they're just holding it, I just want the title to come down with them. Well, and then to have to change what the ending was supposed to be.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we're on the same page with that. So let's go over to the tag team titles. It's a Shane McMahon match, so I think Shane McMahon and The Miz are going to hold the titles until Mania.
Yeah, it's a way to get The Miz and Shane on the card without it being them two against each other.
Yeah.
I think here is probably where you see that feud. I think you see Shane. Yeah. I think this is where Miz turns on Shane.
Yeah, I think you'll probably get
the
that
titles off him.
You'll get that fully on the SmackDown after.
Yeah. Maybe it's one of those things where Miz they lose the titles and it's quote unquote because of Miz was hurt or something, and then he turns on him or it's something stupid.
Here's what I would love to see the Good Brothers come back and win, but I don't think it's going to happen.
The biggest problem is SmackDown has the legitimate tag team contenders,
but they're the same tag teams again. That's what.
Yeah, I know. So, I know it sucks. It sucks that it's New Day and Usos
and the Bar
time and time again. Yeah.
And that's all. That's all it's going to be. I think that's probably going to. You might get a fatal 4-way there. They might do a fatal 4-way match for those. I forget. I think Usos won the match last night, and they're now number 1 contenders, and they get a shot at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
But I just see it going wonky and then turning into a fatal 4-way to Mania with that. And at this point, I think New Day will probably end up winning it just because it's the New Day.
Yeah.
So
they're so interchangeable now with those teams. They've thrown the titles around.
And they're all good tag teams, but it's just we've seen all these matches in any iteration possible. We've seen them all.
Yeah, they need what they desperately need to get all 3 of those teams off the same show. Somebody's got to move somewhere.
They will, because they usually do the draft after the week or 2 weeks after WrestleMania.
Yeah,
all right.
It's gotten to be too much.
All right, Women's Championship match. Asuka's your champion. Who's she fighting?
Well, I've already kind of...
rematch from last year against Charlotte?
Yeah, I think that's where it goes.
Does Asuka get her win back?
Yes.
I think so too.
I think she does. I think even possibly a submissions match or something like that. You might possibly see a stipulation into it. I'm trying to figure out the way they can get into this if Charlotte and Becky wrestle at Elimination Chamber. My guess is they'll just have some type of fatal 4-way
number one contender match.
Yeah. They'll use some way to get Charlotte on like that next match.
Because Charlotte, I think is just going to use the Becky wasn't in the Royal Rumble to her advantage and say I should have a title match.
Yeah.
And then I beat Asuka last year. I'll do it again this year. The storyline writes itself.
Yeah. What they need to do is keep Becky off SmackDown, I believe, from Elimination onto WrestleMania, though.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see a lot of the whole Becky Charlotte back and forth. I'd like to be away from that for a little bit and let them focus on Becky and Rousey once Elimination Chamber is done, because I think
they will. Agree. Yeah, I definitely think they will.
I think we both kind of agree that that's going to be one of the big matches. There will be Becky and Charlotte.
Yes. So any other matches on the SmackDown side?
I mean,
I think your other big players are going to be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, my two matches I seen not being title matches were probably both Raw related. I could see, like I said, Strowman McIntyre or something like that. I don't know why or how, but I could see that. But as from the SmackDown side, I guess if
and the Shane McMahon match is taken care of already, so
yeah, and that's as much as I thought they would split pre-WrestleMania. It makes sense. It gets him on the card, with using a title match. It just sucks that it's the SmackDown titles, not the Raw titles.
Yeah,
because SmackDown at least has better tag teams.
Exactly.
But unless you consider Cena or Taker a SmackDown match.
Well, let's touch on those two. Does Taker have a match?
Yeah.
Who do you think it against?
He does.
Do you think it's going to be similar to the Cena match last year, kind of just a squash match, or is it going to be a legitimate match?
I'm going to go with legitimate match.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think who would make sense for Taker to come out and kind of challenge, or to call Taker out. And actually, the only thing I can think of is
Demon Balor.
It might sound off the wall, but Drew McIntyre.
Not too much off the wall.
I could see him just kind of coming out and
McIntyre challenging him, kind of in the similar fashion that Cena did.
Cena
did
almost.
Last year.
Yeah, almost coming. I would love to see a Demon Balor against Taker, but I can't see that happening. We don't see Taker. We don't see Taker nearly enough for that to make sense. And why would Balor just call out Taker like that? It doesn't make any sense character-wise. Where at least McIntyre, being a heel, could come out and say, "I want my WrestleMania moment," you know.
Yeah.
And talk about the Taker,
and he's the chosen one, all that, yada yada. So
I'm gonna pull that out of my ass and say, if somebody's wrestling Undertaker, it'll be McIntyre.
Okay.
But I'll call it right now. That's the other match. We got Triple H and Ambrose, and we got Undertaker McIntyre.
Yeah, I don't think Undertaker's gonna wrestle. I think you're gonna get a Cena match, and Again, like the one thing I was reading was Lars Sullivan. I don't know if that's going to happen just because Lars, he hasn't been here yet, and I think it's going to be like a shotgun if they kind of pull him up, and I just don't think that's going to be good. The only, I could see McIntyre versus Cena, honestly. I could see that being, that could be a good match. That could be a really good match. So that would probably be the only match I would think.
Do you see the little possibility of Cena Undertaker happening again?
No.
No?
No. I see it's more likely that Nikki Bella walks John Cena to the ring than Cena Undertaker. So.
Well, okay. Well, then Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner.
EC3.
EC3.
I'm thinking EC3.
I'll go KO. Even though I already predicted him to be in the tag team match, I'll go KO. That's purely me being there. But I think if they don't bring him back until then, it just gives him something to do.
I think it's easy. See, this is where I'm a little torn with. I don't know if it will be EC3 because I think Lacey Evans might win the female.
Yes.
The Andrea the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah, I could see that.
They featured her
Ripley.
pretty. I don't see Ripley. I just see her because I see her kind of staying on the UK side and them not interweaving that much.
Well, see, and that's where I was going to kind of predict a little bit on the women's tag team and say I would love to see, because the original rumor was that the women's tag team would be defended everywhere. That was the original rumor to the titles, that it would go across NXT, NXT UK, everywhere. Now, if there's any truth to that rumor, WrestleMania would be a great time to kind of include that. Now, if you could find a team from let's say Dakota Kai and Storm or something like that, I don't know. Let's find two
Dakota. If
from
Tegan Knox is healed, like that would be.
You got Shafir and Duke.
Yeah.
Even that might be a way to get Shirai and Sane. They could still technically be NXT at that point. And then you could move them two around. If you get the titles on them two, Shirai and Sane being on all the different shows would be huge. You know, they would fit really well in the UK. You know, they're already popular in NXT, and they can kind of jump from Raw and SmackDown. That's if there is any truth to that. But I can't see them making more than one women's tag titles. So that's an interesting thought, is that would be a way to kind of get that little concept in there. But I don't know how I just jumped into that. But I'm Lacey Evans is who I believe she'll probably win.
Now, probably the most important question, and we saved the best for last. What song will Pitbull perform and Flo Rida perform at this year's WrestleMania?
You know what? Fuck them. Wasn't Flo Rida supposed to be at Dallas and he wasn't there? Or
at
least somebody advertised him somewhere and then he wasn't there.
If he wasn't,
The real question should be how many retired wrestlers show up.
Your normal fair share. A couple backstage segments.
Because last year it didn't happen.
I thought they had a couple backstage segments.
If they did, it wasn't like when we were in Dallas, they had fucking The Rock against...
What? Eric Rowan. The Rock's last match. We saw The Rock's last match.
And then they had that 3-on-3 match.
Yeah, where Austin, Michaels, and... also that WrestleMania, everyone was injured.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, remember we didn't... Like, Cena was injured. He only was healed enough to come back and wrestle. Rollins got hurt.
Yeah, is this going to be the second straight year we do not have celebrity involvement in WrestleMania?
Yeah, but I don't... Nothing... other than someone singing the
Battle Royals.
Yeah, other than that, yeah.
Because that's what it was. Our year, it was Shaq.
Yes.
Gronk got involved in the one that Mojo Rawley. So I think, I guess maybe that's what they've been doing, is that's a way to get... But
I forgot Mojo Rawley won a Battle Royal. Or no, did he?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was him and Jinder Mahal. And then Jinder Mahal did something to Gronk, and then Gronk came in and, like...
tackled him.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird that I feel like that there hasn't been... See, it's funny, because last year there really wasn't many part-time matches.
Yeah, so that's why I think
there was that one with Angle, and I guess you can consider Rousey it because she just came in. There was that match where everybody kind of got in Stephanie, and then you had the quick Cena Taker match, but it's
that
weird.
wasn't the match was quick, but that segment was long.
Oh yeah, well, Taker takes 7 years to walk down the ring.
But then you had the
now
whole Elias segment beforehand too.
Yeah.
So that segment took like a half hour.
That's what you're getting. A triple threat. Oh, my God, dude. How angry was I on Monday? Because we were sitting there talking, and I said, Road Dogg's coming out next. This is going to be hilarious. And then he comes out on Monday. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, while we were watching the Rumble, it was 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
God, that just shows you how bad I am. Elias is 1, Jeff Jarrett's 2, and I'm sitting there and saying to Walton, like, this is hilarious. It's going to be so much better when Road Dogg comes out number 3. And then Road Dogg comes out on Monday Night Raw. Assholes. They had to fit that Nia Jax thing in there so badly they couldn't put Road Dogg in.
The Nia Jax thing, like, I'm still mad about it, but at least I enjoyed what they did with it, but I wasn't happy that they did it.
That's what they're releasing at WrestleMania. The Intergender Championship.
If Joey Ryan isn't the winner, the inaugural winner of that, then wrestling isn't real to me.
It's going to be Candice LeRae
and Joey Ryan.
Yes,
the cutest tag team. Come on. So, alrighty, I got nothing else because I gotta start heading to work.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah, I know. So, any other final predictions for WrestleMania? NXT. What do you think the NXT main event's going to be at for the takeover? I said this. I think I know it's kind of set up for this halftime heat show this week with the with Black, Velveteen, Gargano, Ciampa, Cole, and Ricochet. But I think that's ultimately going to turn into a 6-man Hell in a Cell match at Mania weekend, like the Armageddon one.
Yeah,
I think you're going to have a 6-man match for the title.
And I'm with you. I believe that Gargano is actually he'll lose the title between now and then, and it'll just be for Ciampa's title. And hell, I'll even say Gargano wins it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's where you might get Ricochet winning. Ricochet or Velveteen.
I think it's a way to get Gargano, and he could say the only way he could finally defeat, Ciampa was by becoming him, kind of thing. But you never know. It's too early. We haven't seen anything.
No, I know. That's why we're doing this now.
Unfortunately, the halftime it was a great idea until they showed that it was all set up for a 6-man tag at halftime heat.
But that's why I still think this is going long term.
I think some of those guys too will get called up right after WrestleMania.
I was going to say who you got as your call ups possibly.
I think Aleister Black is almost definite. I'll go Black. I don't know who else.
I'm going Black and Baszler definitely.
I'll probably go Black. The 4 Horsewomen. I think all 3 of them. And then I'll go Street Profits.
I think Street Profits are a good one. It's an additional tag team. They need to help rebuild the tag team division. They're fun. They're really good.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be lower tier, but definitely they're fun. They got a good gimmick. I think that might translate well to the main roster.
Yeah. I'd like to see Ono, but I know he'll stay down.
Yeah, he needs to stay down in NXT.
I just want to see him and Cesaro tag.
I would like to see that too.
Yeah.
So, all right. You have anything else?
No.
Alrighty. Well, I have to get to work.
Yes.
Mike has to get to sleep.
Yes.
And we got to get watching more wrestling. It's the road to WrestleMania, baby.
Yeah.
Best time of the year. Best time of the year. So,
yeah.
I got nothing else. We'll fill in what Peachy thinks going to happen at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
In a later episode.
It's been filled in this episode already.
So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed last week's Rumble episode. We'll hopefully try to do something fun like that for WrestleMania this year. Thanks again for listening. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week, rest of your day, whatever it is. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one, guys. Later.
You can't see it, but Walton's pointing at an imaginary WrestleMania sign right now.